When a call comes in, when someone calls 911, that call goes to a centralized location. It is answered by a dispatcher whose job it is to obtain information and dispatch to the appropriate emergency services.
So the dispatchers are sort of the first responders of the first responders. They take calls from Vermonters who are in need of help, and they dispatch either local police, fire, ambulance to various locations throughout the state, or they dispatch for the state police who cover all of the state.
Okay, so dispatchers are people that answer 911 calls, and they work in dispatch centers. But what's the deal behind Consolidation?
Yeah, the dispatch cuts, eliminating 2 dispatch centers in the state of Vermont, that increased the call volume in our local dispatch center. That's Rockingham for Granville. So the workload more or less doubled in that dispatch center. That means the dispatcher is going to be answering twice as many calls and have the same amount of time to relay the information that they've gathered to the necessary agencies. This would obviously put a strain on the dispatcher, and would lead to a reduction of service.
Well, I would say over time, things are getting better, and we are improving on any of the areas that they had for concern. We actually have user group meetings, and we meet with the customers, the agencies that we dispatch for, and we welcome feedback, and we do encourage them on a daily basis if there's an issue that they get in contact and communicate with our shift supervisors, and we try to work things out. And like anything, when you have people on both ends and you have equipment in the middle, you're going to have dispatching issues, whether you're in 4 places, 10 places, or 2 places. But our job is to deliver the best product that we can, and I believe that we are doing that. Transition is becoming basically, it's in the past, and as we move forward, those glitches and things that people bring to our attention are being worked out. And quite honestly, some of the issues that they bring forward have nothing to do with consolidation. They have to do with, like I said, you've got people on both ends and equipment in the middle, and you're going to have times, and you have people that are busy. These dispatchers are dispatching for approximately 125 the 2 centers are dispatching for about 125 different agencies, police, fire, and rescue. And when things get busy in here and they're getting slammed, sometimes people are complaining about things that are very hard to control.
Now we have fewer centers. What does that mean to the public? Has it had an impact? Will it?
The quality of our dispatching has been reduced. We've had calls that we would get a tone but no message. So we know there's an emergency, but we don't know where it is or what it is. So we'd have to call into the dispatcher and ask them to retone, give us the actual message. It just takes longer for all of us to assemble to respond to the emergency. There have been other times where people were calling in to the dispatch center to report an emergency, and I've received a phone call personally from someone else on scene. I tried calling over the radio to let them know what the emergency was, where it was. No answer, and we've gotten on scene before they were able to tone us out to it.
I think the biggest problem is that our members who are now working in those dispatch centers are being asked to provide services that they may not be they may not have been given enough resources to provide, and I think our members are doing their best to deliver the best quality service that they can to Vermonters, but really they don't make the decisions about how an agency is run. And I think that is a significant problem. So we always, what we said to people in the State House and what we said to the public is listen to the dispatchers, listen to the people who are actually taking the calls about how this is going to work. And I think they're being asked to do a very difficult job without enough resources from the management. Ultimate decision was made by the governor to make the proposal. It was first proposed by Commissioner Flynn to the governor. The governor decided to endorse it, to support it. And then ultimately the legislature made the final decision in the House and Senate Appropriations Committees. Those are the committees that decide how the state budget is built. So it ended up being really a question about money more than about good public policy from the perspective of the state employees.
Is there any way both sides could be happy? Is there a happy medium somewhere that could be reached? If so, what would it look like?
Right now, we pay for the air time that we're on the radio. So for every second that we are talking to our dispatcher, we are then billed for it. That right now it's not a lot of money. It could be possible to increase the payments coming into 911 centers. That I think that should have been looked at before closing 2 dispatch centers in our state. We should have looked at increasing the amount of compensation that we provide to the state for the service.
VSEA, the members of the VSEA put together a proposal that would have saved the state of Vermont the same amount of money, and it would have kept all 4 centers open, and it would have protected the jobs of those 34 people who lost their jobs. It would have been, that plan was presented to the legislature. It passed out of one committee. It passed out of the Senate Government Operations Committee, and then was considered but not adopted by the Budget Committee. It was a proposal to save money by not replacing workers who retired in each of the 4 dispatch centers. And it wouldn't necessarily have been a dispatcher, but any employee who worked in those 4 dispatch centers. If they retired, they would not, a replacement wouldn't be hired for them. There's also a consolidation, because there's 4 centers. They had 4 people who were supervisors, 1 for each call center, and we thought that they could do that with just 2 supervisors. And so did the Department of Public Safety. I think they thought it could be done with just 2 supervisors. And the reason that was important was because, and I don't know if this actually happened, but what we were told was that 2 supervisors were planning to retire anyway. So it would have resulted in all 4 facilities still being open, the local knowledge still being there. Our first responders would have gotten what they felt they needed. Our members would have kept their jobs. The economy of those places would be stronger. The state government would have had the same amount of savings. But it, I think, fell by the wayside because, in the end, it's hard to go up against the Department of Public Safety. In our experience, when you go up against the Department of Public Safety and the management, they have a lot of credibility with certain lawmakers who are in a very important position to make. They're the folks who would be making this decision, and they, in the end, had more influence than we did.
What are things going to be like going forward?
Well, I'd say we're moving forward. I mean, we're not in a position where we're going to be reopening the other 2 centers. We're moving forward and doing the best that we can with what we have. And there's about 14 positions that we're saving